All right, I'm going to call to order a regular meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. It is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to make a motion, two motions. The first is to add item D to new business tax refunds. Seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that aye? Yeah. And my second motion will be to move item A of new business to the next item of business before approval of minutes.
I'll second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah. So that makes our next order of business, proclamation for the 100th birthday of our very own Mr. Herbert. If you, I don't know, the camera will let you see behind me. We had a little reception here in the room to start. So it is my honor to move the following proclamation. The 100th anniversary of the birth of Herbert Charles Erico. Whereas Herb Erico was born on June 30th, 1922, and has been a resident of Wellington for 52 years and will celebrate his 100th birthday this year. And whereas Herb Erico served from June 1942 to September 1946 in the United States Army Reserves during World War II. And whereas Herb Erico married his loving wife Lucille in August of 1967, and they were blessed with 2 children and 11 grandchildren. And whereas Herb Erico was a teacher for 61 years, with 58 years as a business teacher at Wyndham High School. And whereas Herb Erico has served as a Wellington Board of Education member for 45 years and Region 19 Board of Education member for 12 years. And whereas Herb Erico has served on numerous professional and community boards and volunteered with many community organizations. And whereas Herb Erico is joined by friends and family today to celebrate this exciting milestone in his life. He is commended for his dedication to education, service to his country, and the Wellington community. And therefore be it resolved that the Wellington Board of Selectmen and residents in the town of Wellington proclaim June 30th, 2022 to be Herb Erico Day. Furthermore, I do hereby encourage all fellow residents, family, and friends to pay tribute to Herb Erico on his 100th birthday and wish him health and happiness in all his days to come. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the town of Wellington this 21st day of June, 2022. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second that. Discussion? It is my honor to celebrate your birthday. We had a reception here in the room, so if you are only on Zoom, I'm sorry, we have cake and cupcakes. I had the pleasure of, I did not take any of Mr. Erico's classes at Wyndham High, but being a student while he was a teacher, serving alongside him on the, serving alongside him on the Board of Education, where this proclamation mentions his service on both boards of education. It should not go without noting he is currently serving on both Region 19 and Wellington Board of Education. So if any other discussion from either of our selectors? No. Seeing none, shall we move on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I present this. In honor of your 100th birthday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Eric, I appreciate this.
You can speak if you choose. I will not put you on the spot, but we're happy to have your daughter and some of your grandchildren with you tonight.
Well, this is quite a surprise, and I certainly appreciate the support that you're giving me this information. Having lived in Wellington all these years has been quite interesting, and it's been really very nice for myself and my family. Having lived here over 50 years, I certainly have met a lot of wonderful people, and I think Wellington has served everyone well. It has served my family well. My children went through the Wellington school system and live fairly close now by at the present time. I don't know what else I could say except for the fact that this is a memorable occasion. 100 years is quite a few years. And having lived in Wellington for over 50 years is really sounding to me. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I want to thank Erica for this presentation this evening. It is quite an honor that she has bestowed upon me, whether it's deserving or not. But I certainly appreciate it. And I just I have nothing else to say at the
That's
moment.
great. Well, thank you. It was
Except to
my
thank
honor.
you very much.
You're welcome. It's my honor, my privilege. Once upon a time, you gave me a certificate. No need to mention how many years ago that was. So we understand if you don't stay with us for an entire meeting, you're certainly more than welcome. This is yours. See, there's a box for the cupcake. So,
Okay.
if you'd like a cupcake,
Thank
it's
you
now or
again.
never, folks. So thank you. And remember, folks who are online and then watch our meeting later, June 30th, feel free to shout out your 100th birthday wishes to Mr. Erico. I think the hardest part of that for me was not calling him Mr. Erico so many times. So I thank you. And we look forward to wishing you a happy birthday on Herb Erico Day, June 30th, 2022.
Right.
All right, I will move without objection to our next item of business, which is the approval of minutes. There are minutes in your packet from June 6, 2022. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve. June's.
Moved by Jim, I will second. Any discussion? Liza shaking her head. Jim, nothing? All right, seeing no objection. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, aye.
Aye.
And carries. All right, next is correspondence. In your packet, you have. Oh, sorry, this is what happens when we go out of order a little bit. Present to speak. All right, if you are on screen, and right now I can only see one person on screen and would like to speak, raise your hand. Anyone? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to start with Christine. It's not your name there on screen, but you should be able to unmute. yourself.
So I can speak, Erica. Can you hear me all right? Liza's nodding. Great. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen for considering a one-time bonus for elected officials. Suzanne Chapman and I have been working together since 2014. We know what to expect and how to manage the responsibilities of preparing for voting events, but nothing prepared us for the pandemic of 2020. It was not business as usual for many, including the registrars. We did not have the option of working at home. In order to do our job, we needed to be connected to the state's voter registration system. So although the town building was closed to the public, we continued to go into the office and work together. The Secretary of State did not give us a pass on the 2020 voting events. Pandemic or no pandemic, the presidential preference primary in August and the presidential state election. Oh, am I still on? Oh.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, my screen just went kafooey, so I'll just continue, sorry. So the Secretary of State did not give us a pass on the 2020 voting events. Pandemic or no pandemic, the presidential preference primary in August and the presidential state election in November had to be held. With physical distancing, PPEs, sanitation and cleaning requirements in place, we felt confident that by holding the primary in the regular voting location at the town office building, since primaries typically have a lower voter turnout, the voters and elected officials would feel comfortable. But when it came time to plan for the November election with historically higher voter turnout for this election, we knew that the usual voting location was not ideal to implement safety protocols required by the state. We approached Superintendent Stevens and requested the use of the gym at Hall Memorial School. He supported and worked with us to make this change. Suzanne then designed, ordered, and prepared for mailing over 3,600 postcards notifying voters of the new polling location. We also planned an additional voting location for absentee ballot counting and election day registration at the town office building. We contacted, hired, and trained 21 election officials, more than double the usual number. It was a challenging year, but we were pleased to hear from many voters and our election workers that they felt comfortable with our protocols to provide a safe voting experience that November. We spent many, many more hours than usual than during a normal presidential preference primary and election year by planning, implementing safety measures to successfully ensure that our workers and voters were comfortable during an uncomfortable time. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Cook, you should be able to unmute yourself. Identify yourself for the record and limit yourself to 2 minutes.
Donna Cook, 77 Common Road. 3 brief things. One is I just want to thank you for honoring Herb. You know, it's encouraging to see somebody who has had such a wonderful life dedicated to service, and hopefully it'll be encouragement to others to do the same. Next is I just want to encourage the Board of Selectmen to carefully consider contacting Eversource to find out if our electrical grid is capable of handling additional drains on it. I know that sometimes as communities get more and more electric cars and other things, that it can cause problems with the grid. I know that we've been experiencing some brownouts at our house. I don't know why, but I just wanted to share that. And then finally, I'd like to officially request that any town meetings where there's going to be a vote, that all votes be done by paper ballot and that it's prepared appropriately ahead of time so that people can vote their conscience and not their peer pressure group. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Correspondence. In your packet, you'll note we had 1 correspondence from Connecticut Deep, and that was awarding the town of Willington an state of Connecticut open space and watershed land acquisition grant in the amount of not to exceed $250. So if you recall, we had been authorized with the Conservation Commission to apply for this grant. This is for the Talmadge Estate parcel that would add to that land tract on Mason Road. We had anticipated 50% of the purchase price of $125,000. So we were pleasantly surprised to see not only were we awarded the grant, but that it was at 65%. So I want to congratulate the dedicated efforts and diligent work of our Conservation Commission. And I will take a moment to single out both Carol Jordan and Kathy Devers for their work with this. So congratulations. This is exciting, and we are working with the proper groups to now move forward with the purchase and all of the things that go along with the grant. So that was great news to hear. kudos to our Conservation Commission. I'll move along to Selectmen's update. Steep grant, I am happy to say that I signed the contract with DPH last week after many iterations back and forth. We are just waiting for the finalized copy to come from the state. And that point, we will move forward with the septic project. And certainly as we get this late in the season, we will be very cognizant of the timing so as to not affect our 2 fall events that happen. The school building committee did not meet since our last meeting. They canceled the June 15th due to a lack of quorum. The next meeting will be Wednesday, July 6th. These meetings are hybrid here at the TOB and on Zoom. The lot sit project, we're still waiting for that direct solicitation so that then we can approve a vendor and move forward with the design portion of the process. We still have no information. I didn't as of early this afternoon, so unless we do, I'll try to pop in if we do, but we're still waiting on the last vehicle from last year. So we don't have a build date, but they had a canceled our order, which is still a good sign, because if we were to turn around and purchase the same vehicle today, we'd be looking at probably closer to $70,000. And this was in the $49,000 range. The ARPA Commission has their next meeting next Monday, June 27th at 1:30. And tentatively, the public hearing will be held the evening of July 11th. COVID-19, these numbers are from our weekly numbers from last Thursday. We are still at 69% fully vaccinated, no change there. We had an increase of 11 COVID cases. And still, like the rest of the state, seeing an increase in COVID. So ask folks to be conscious. If you're sick, stay home, take care of yourself, and look to those CDC guidelines. Public Works. Oh, any comments or questions for our selectmen?
Just the ARPA meeting. Again, I've heard some residents that holding that meeting in the middle of the day makes it very challenging for them to attend, and I have to admit, it's very challenging for me to attend. Something like that. Is there any way we can move that?
I don't know if the
Perhaps on
commission,
Monday evening or something like
certainly the
that?
commission can take that up. It's up to the each board and commission when they meet. The public hearings will always be held, that the commission had decided at a particular time in the evening. So that's where the commission decides. This board only decides when our board meets. Every board and commission makes their own decision as to their meeting dates and time, and whether they're hybrid, fully Zoom, or fully in person. So I can pass those along as a representative to the ARPA Commission.
I would very much appreciate that.
Anything else? All right. So Troy, you have an update for us.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right. So roadside mowing is still continuing. We've mowed Hall's Pond, getting that ready for the opening this Friday. We've chipped the brush from some storm debris. We've cleaned the shop. We've serviced our vehicles accordingly to when they become due for service. We've patched a few sinkholes around town that have been popping up. Once again, we did fix the sign on Red Oak. I haven't been by this week, but I haven't had a phone call yet, so I think it's still up. We threw some stuff away for the town clerk that was no good. And we've been working on Moose Meadow. We've installed 2 cross culverts, an 18 and a 15-inch pipe. We've replaced 3 catch basin tops, and today we installed the new portion of the drainage. We installed 1 basin and the pipe going across. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. I know there's a lot of work to be done on Moose Meadow Road before they can come out and do the paving portion of it. And with a small crew, it certainly is challenging at best. So I did happen to go out there and just wanted to get a firsthand look at some of the work that they're doing. Impressive. So they've got a lot of work. Kudos to Troy and his crew on the work that they're doing. All right, seeing no other comment, I'll move on to item B of new business. We have 2 appointments. So before I start with these appointments, on June 7th, we officially received a letter of resignation from Richard Palmer, who's been our fire marshal for 26 years. So I'll start with thanking Dick for all of the work he's done. If you were in the room, you could see the C's parted so that you could see him front and center. So thank him for his 26 years of service to the town in the capacity of fire marshal. But what you'll learn shortly is he still wants to stay a part of this particular department in a new capacity. So Dick, thank you for your continued service. 26 years is pretty impressive. So I thank you. In that letter, which I believe was shared with both of you, Dick did recommend one of our his deputy fire marshals to be Wellington's next fire marshal. So I am happy to move to appoint Trevor Gantick as the Town of Wellington Fire Marshal effective July 1st, 2022. Is there a second? Second by Jim. Discussion. I will mention that for the last 3 years, Trevor has been serving as Deputy Fire Marshal. He has stepped in many times when our Fire Marshal has been unable to attend or been out of town, and the work he's done for us certainly has had an impact. So Trevor, I want to thank you for your willingness to step forward in this critical role for the town. And you have the respect of our 26-year fire marshal to recommend you. So it certainly speaks volumes about your work. Any other comments, Fire Selectmen? All right. I will mention you'll see no end date. These are indefinite dates that can be changed at any time by either party. Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Liza's an aye. Trevor, congratulations on being a new fire marshal. We will work on all the necessary paperwork and get that filed. And I am happy to appoint Richard Palmer as the Town of Wellington Deputy Fire Marshal effective July 1, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Liza. So he's ready to step out of the big chair, but not ready to leave us all together. So I thank you for still your willingness to serve, sir. We can't, you can't get rid of us. That is really what it is. So thank you. I will give you the opportunity if you want to say anything, share anything.
Just that it's been a pleasure for me to serve the town capacity of fire marshal. And thank you for all the support from the government of Wellington and the residents of the town. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. All right. Seeing no further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 I thank you both. All right, moving on to C, job description for the senior center coordinator. So, did I not bring my copy? You should both have a copy. Liza, did you get it in email? So the senior center coordinator is the newest position that we have added using funds. Here it is. ARPA funds. This will, if you recall, since the senior center in its current existence and Senior Way open, they've had a volunteer member of the senior community that acted in a capacity to sort of run things at the senior center. She was there daily. Jean Laframboise answered the phone. She did, as we're finding, countless activities to keep the senior center up and running. And she did all this as a volunteer of her time. It was not a paid role. Certainly there's a lot of work to be done in that area. And we were fortunate enough to have somebody who volunteered their time, but both myself and some of the seniors and our human services director thought it was incredibly necessary to have a staff member in that role. And so what you see before you is our draft of the job description. This would be an hourly union position. We'd be looking at about 25 hours a week. The senior center is currently open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The draft includes this individual being our municipal agent of the elderly, as they would primarily be working with our seniors. Although Jenny's office is currently there, and she is our current agent of the elderly, this is the perfect time to move that over into this individual's purview. So it's not something we need to move on tonight. If you want to take a look at it, we took a look at many job descriptions from towns far and wide in Connecticut of varying size. And we believe this is a good snapshot of what would be needed. I will tell you that once we approve, this will still need to go to the union for approval and negotiate the starting pay, as it would be a union position. So we can either move on it, discuss tonight, or table this to our next meeting for discussion. Once all those things are done, then we can advertise and begin to fill the position.
I have a quick comment, if it's okay.
Jenny, go ahead. Jenny.
I just wanted to ask if at any point, since our center is not technically municipally run, if the Wellington Seniors Inc. would be permitted to view this job description and offer any input.
I mean, if you would like to share it, and they can share their input with you, and you can bring that back to me, and you and I can work on that. Ultimately, although they are maintaining, we've moved in this direction again with their blessing and their encouragement to move in a direction where the board. So if you want to take a look at it with them, Jenny, and get some feedback from their leadership.
I would like to do that. They may have some things that you and I didn't think of, and that also may not be happening in other towns.
Liza, Jim said he would like to table this, take a look at it. And-
Yeah, I think I got it this afternoon and I didn't have a chance to look through it. So I think it makes sense to have some more time to go through it more closely before doing anything further, approving it or whatever this evening.
Sounds good.
One
Yes.
question for Jenny. Did we get any feedback from the volunteer, this job description? Did we consult them, what they were doing at all? I'm just curious. Do we have their input? Somebody that actually did the work firsthand.
You know what? That's actually a good point. That's not somebody that I asked due to her declining health. But if I'm able to catch her on a good day, I would be happy to do that.
And I'll just note that this is a much more robust position than she was performing. So they certainly would be under the supervision of the town, be doing some more reporting, as opposed to some of the things she was doing. They would be leading and coordinating all the activities there. So it's much broader.
I would assume that, but
Yeah.
there's an opportunity here to.
So, yeah, and she's a member of that group, and if Jenny can speak with her, and then Jenny, if you can get your notes back to me, and we can take a look at maybe some edits.
I will do that.
We'll hold this until our next meeting. All right, we added item D to new business. With the fiscal year ending, we had a last minute refunds today, so I will move to refund CCAP Auto Lease LTD a certificate of correction in the amount of $264.99. There's a second.
Second,
Seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
aye.
And carries. Last item of regular business in old business is the discussion of potential ARPA bonuses for our elected officials. If we can start with discussion on the treasurer and the 2 registrar of voters separately. I believe at our last meeting, we talked about the first selectman position and those 3. I'd like to right now discuss just those 3 elected positions. So for discussion purposes, I will make a motion to award a one-time bonus of $2,000 to each of the following current elected officials: treasurer, Democratic Registrar of Voters, and Republican Registrar of Voters, with surplus funds from fiscal year 21-22 budget contingent on ARPA approval of similar funds for non-elected officials. Is there a second?
Second,
Discussion. So you'll see that my motion, again, singles out those three particular positions. Any discussion regarding a position I hold, I would recuse myself from, which is why I'm only talking about these. And the idea behind my proposal, both to ARPA and here to the Board of Selectmen for our entire staff, was that our entire staff be recognized. So I don't know which way the ARPA Commission will go. And so I would like this to hopefully be an all discussion, which is why I put the wording in there that it's contingent on ARPA approval of similar. So what I wouldn't want to do is single out any one particular position, whether it be elected or non-elected. I believe all of our staff work incredibly hard to meet the fiduciary responsibilities of the town of Willington. And during COVID, that meant we had to continue to work no matter what the circumstances were. And you heard earlier when Christine Sathis, our Democratic Registrar of Voters, spoke to just some of the things that had to happen in order for primaries and elections to happen in 2020, when there was real uncertainty about gathering. At that time of the 2020 primary in August, we still weren't gathering in large numbers across the state, yet the expectation was that they be here and available for large numbers of residents to be able to vote. And we understand why. But I think the comment was made by Selectmen, if you look at our last meeting, that everyone knew what they were signing up for. I think any one of our elected officials would sign up to do these things again, but I can tell you that none of us knew what we were getting into when the election in November 2019 happened. So we're prepared. If any of these things happen again, we know what to do to protect ourselves and have barriers between ourselves and other residents to keep both them and ourselves safe. So it's important to me to recognize our employees and also in an effort to retain staff. And that means our elected officials as well. Comments? Concerns, discussion? Liza or Jim?
So some of my comments are centered around whether ARPA legislation allows us to do that, to get bonuses to them. I've had some concerns with that. The conflict of interest. There was some kind of question about whether you could have a quorum of the ARPA commission. Have everybody recuse themselves, would you have a process this kind of a request? Those are some of the questions I have.
So if you don't mind, I'll start with the first one. ARPA does not speak to giving funds to elected officials, which is why there is no discussion in the motion. It's not to give ARPA funds to elected officials. These funds will be taken from surpluses from the 21-22 budget, but contingent on whether or not ARPA moves in a forward direction with the request they have, which does not include elected officials. So I'd want it to be both ways, right? The intention was to recognize all of our staff. So if ARPA said no, I would be hesitant to say we would single out 3 staff members and vice versa. So ARPA, these dollars are not coming from ARPA dollars. They are coming from the surplus in our budget. I did, and I've spoken with the chair of the ARPA commission, and I did speak with our town attorney, who felt that any of those members who would be benefiting from those dollars should recuse themselves. And I have spoken with most of them since that conversation, and I don't think those members have any problem doing so. And then the vote would be a simple majority of the members that did not recuse themselves, so they would not take part in the discussion. And so certainly it's each individual's choice. It is not a requirement, it is their choice. And the ARPA Commission, I have shared that information with the chairman of the ARPA Commission, and I anticipate she will be leading that discussion at the ARPA meeting next Monday, the 27th. Liza?
Yeah, sorry, it's a little hard to hear Jim, so I'm not I wasn't 100% sure if he was done talking. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in the last meeting, I'm fully in support of this proposal. I think it's wise to connect it to the ARPA decision so that we, we have that as a bundle, as a package, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, they are, those three positions are elected, but as I said last meeting, they serve in the capacity of staff in a much different way than the other elected officials that are on boards and commissions that meet monthly, versus, these staff, they're in the office, they do weekly hours, and serve very vital functions to our town. So for those reasons, I would support I support treating them as we are treating the rest of the staff that is helping to make this town work and move forward and achieve all of our goals.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion, there's a motion on the floor, and I will call for a roll call vote. I'm going to go alphabetical order. Liza?
Aye.
Jim?
No.
Erica? Votes yes. Or again, the motion was that it is contingent on our approval of similar funds for non-elected officials. So I will keep you all posted. All right, that brings us to present to speak. If you are, and I apologize when there was present to speak before, although no one raised their hand. There are plenty of people in the room, so if you wanted to speak before the meeting started and I did not give you the opportunity and I didn't see your hand, I apologize. So I'm going to start in the room this time, folks. Yes, Chief Moore.
I just want to congratulate.
Can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Alex Moore, Chief of Law Fire.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Dick Palmer for all those years as fire marshal of the town. Well, full services. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? All right, seeing none. Anyone else online? Present to speak. Going once, going twice. So, all right. Good and welfare. I have a couple of items. I'm going to start with the uber positive, folks. There's no denying that our town runs on tax revenue. And with that, the tax bills for the 2021 grand list will be mailed out next week. Payment is due July 1. However, you have 30 days to pay without penalty. So they have to be received in our offices by August 1st to avoid an interest penalty of, of 3%. So any bills paid into our office before July 1 will not be posted until July 1st. And a reminder that the tax office will be closed to the public on June 30th to close the year and prepare for the July 1 tax cycle. It's a very busy time of year between the assessor's office and the tax office. Mobile food share will be here at the town office building tomorrow, June 22nd from 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. And that is open to all residents. If you can, please support our small businesses and restaurants. The new flat penny, I want to make sure I say it right, it's flat penny kitchen at the old track 9 river and rail location. I don't know when they're opening. They had hoped to open this past weekend, and that was about a month ago. And so I know they're shooting for soon. And I have seen notices via social media and other places that they're hiring. So stop down and see if they're still hiring for employment. And we look forward to visiting them and having breakfast and lunch or dinner. From what I understand, dinner will be Thursdays through Sunday. One last reminder that next Thursday, June 30th, will be the 100th day of our very own Mr. Herb Erico. So I want to thank him for joining us this evening, allowing us to celebrate his important milestone. So if you see him out and about, please do wish him well on Herb Erico Day. Liza or Jim?
Yeah, just one thing I noticed, the Historical Society is looking for funds to make the tavern ADA compliant. Perhaps ARPA funds were considered for that, or there's an application for that.
I don't think they put one in unless there's a new proposal. With that, I know the Historical Society put in some money for storage and things.
I just noticed that,
Yeah.
if anything, it's a good cause.
Absolutely.
Maybe we all can hang a flag out on June 30th in honor of our veteran.
Yeah, I will say, if I can take a moment, it was very difficult. I want to thank his wife, Lucille, who helped us with some basic facts and make sure we had some details right. And it was really difficult to boil down 100 years of service to his town, the broader community, to students far and wide, and to his country. In a few sentences, it wasn't difficult. He served during World War II overseas. And if you see him and get the opportunity, I encourage you to talk to him about his life of service, because it's quite remarkable, for sure.
And
So
inspiring. Yeah.
very inspiring. And I don't say it lightly when I say it's quite special that as he celebrates his 100th birthday, he's still serving on both boards of education that service Wilmington schools, both high school and our elementary and middle school. So it's quite an achievement to honor and recognize. And I wish you could see behind me the sign we have. So I plan to put that out on June 30th. And I want to take the opportunity once again to thank Dick Palmer for his 26 years of service, and to Trevor for his willingness to serve in his new role. All right, seeing no other business, I will just remind you all that each individual board and commission makes the decisions on their meetings. So if you have questions about their meetings, I encourage you to contact the board or commission, and our town clerk's office has any of that information if you need contact information. And I will move to adjourn at 7:13. By Jim, it's a non-debatable matter. All those in favor? Aye. Joining us.